Hallo, this video is about reflexive verbs, otherwise in German known as reflexive Verben. So normally when I think of the word reflex, I think of something along these lines, which isn't too far off of what reflexive verbs are in German. So first, an etymology lesson. The word reflex comes from the word reflexus in Latin, which means to reflect upon yourself, which is what reflexive verbs do. So to start this off, we'll review what reflexive Pronomen sind. Of English, we add selves or self to the subject or the object or the pronoun. So myself, yourself, his-self, herself, itself, and so on. And the pronouns in German naturally have accusative and dative case. But as you can see here, only ich and du pronomen change it to the dative case. So mich becomes dir, dich becomes dir. Other than that, sie, es, sie all stay sich, wir stays uns, and ihr stays euch. So, wo geht reflexive Pronomen? When the subject's in first position, the reflexive pronoun comes after the verb. For example, Max kauft sich täglich eine Zeitung. So Max is der Subjekt, and in this sentence is in first position. Das Verb is in second position, where it should normally be. And then the reflexive pronoun comes thereafter to reflect upon the subject. So as you can kind of tell, the subject, the verb, and the reflexive pronoun like to stay close together because they all are part of a package. But sometimes you can move the subject in the middle field in German, and then the reflexive pronoun comes after the subject then. Zum Beispiel, täglich kauft sich eine Zeitung. So here we just changed the position. Kauft das Verb is still in second position, but then the subject comes and then the reflexive pronoun. They're all still together. So most verbs in German, or a lot of verbs, you can make reflexive. It only depends on whether you are making yourself, or the subject is also the direct object. So for example, not reflexive, ich wasche das Kind. Das Kind here is das direkte Subjekt. It is the recipient of the washing. So I am the subject, I am doing the washing, and the thing that I am washing is the kid. Versus ich wasche mich, I'm washing myself. So I am the subject, I'm doing the washing, but I'm also receiving the washing. So I am the direct object as well as the subject. Du rasierst den Kunden, you are shaving the customer. So the customer, den Kunden, is the recipient of the shaving here, so it is not reflexive. Aber du rasierst dich, you are the one who's shaving, but you're also the recipient of the shaving. So you are reflexive. You are reflecting the verb back onto yourself. So you are the subject and the direct object simultaneously. Sie sieht ihn im Spiegel. She sees him in the mirror. So she is the one who's seeing and he is the thing she is seeing versus sie sieht sich im Spiegel. She is the one who is seeing and she is also seeing herself, the direct object. So sich is reflecting back onto sie. So examples of reflexive verbs. In German, they have many more verbs in English that are always reflexive, and therefore they're referred to as reflexive verbs commonly. These verbs are not reflexive verbs in English, however, so they're just kind of something you have to memorize. So sich beeilen, sich benehmen, sich erkälten, sich erholen, sich fühlen, sich langweilen, sich setzen, sich legen, und sich umsehen are all reflexive verbs in German. Why do we change the pronouns in the dative is a common question of German learners, and that mostly comes from Germans avoid using possessive adjectives like mein, dein, etc. when referring to body parts. Instead, they use dative reflexives to clarify whose body part that is. So in this sentence, wäscht sich die Hände, it's not seine Hände, it's just die Hände, the hands, but sich is showing whose hands it is, and reflecting back onto er. So German, at the same time, cannot have two accusative objects next to each other. So the reflexive pronoun changes to the dative. So sich here is technically in the dative case, but it doesn't change. Only mich and dich change. Zum Beispiel, ich wasche mir die Hände. So this is die Hände, das ist Akkusativ, but mich becomes mir in this case. So ich wasche mir die Hände. More Beispiele. Später zog ich mir den Pulli aus. So den Pulli is in the accusative, so mich had to change to mir here in the dative. Kinder, habt ihr euch schon die Zähne geputzt? So euch is in the dative case because there's an accusative direct object already here. Zieh dich an. Dich is not in the dative case because there's no accusative object here. But the minute I add something else, zieh dir heute einen Anzug an, dich has to become dir because there can't be two direct accusative objects here. So ja, das ist alles. Das ist reflexive Verben auf Deutsch. Und now you can jump on the bandwagon and do all of those reflective verbs back onto yourself, such as these wonderful works of art. Fotografiere dich und viel Spaß. I will see you all soon.